Update. Am I the a-hole for calling father-in-law a pervert? Original post. I have a 7-month-old baby boy. I'm breastfeeding, but baby is currently weaning. I'm convinced that my father-in-law is being weird about my breastfeeding and not in a that makes me uncomfortable way. I made the baby popsicles for my boob milk a few months ago, and father-in-law put in the group chat that I'd love to try one of those with a heart's eyes emoji. I said, what the F? They're made from breast milk, and he said he didn't notice that caption. Today I baked the baby some muffins. It's a recipe that called for a half a cup of breast milk, so I made them per recipe. Father-in-law came over and announced and said, oh, yum, someone's been baking. So I told him those muffins are for the baby. They're just fruit, flour, and breast milk. I have a normal cake that we can have. I then left the room to wash my hands, came back, and one of the muffins was missing. I asked my husband, and he had no idea, so I asked father-in-law, and he said that he ate it. I said, that's disgusting. I told him they were the babies and contained breast milk. He doubled down and said it's okay because breast milk is vegan. Note, no one in this story is vegan. I told him that he's a creepy pervert and to get the F out of my house. Husband is baffled by the whole thing and was convinced it was a misunderstanding even though I explicitly said they're made with breast milk. Father-in-law said that I'm a dick because I made loads and the baby wouldn't miss out. Mother-in-law was blowing up my phone until I asked her if she was really okay with father-in-law drinking milk that came directly from my breast. I think she didn't get the whole story. My sister says it's effing gross and father-in-law is a weirdo. I completely agree with you. Father-in-law is a complete weirdo. That is just disgusting. Breast milk? Yeah, I'd be staying either low contact or no contact with him. Best of luck to you, OP. Now for the comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. How hard is it to not eat boob milk muffins, dude? Father-in-law said I'm a dick because I made loads and the baby wouldn't miss out. This is not the argument he thinks it is. Why is he tracking how much breast milk you produce, and why does he think he has first right of refusal on it? The entitlement is off the charts. Also, even if these were totally normal muffins without breast milk and she said to him, please do not eat these, and then he ate one, he would be the a-hole. The added layer of obviously being fixated on her breast milk is just extra gross, yuck element to this whole situation. Right. Quantity of muffins was never the issue, but also as someone who uses breast milk in cooking for my baby, I'd be kind of chapped if someone's eating the food especially made for them when there's other food available. Father-in-law has some breast milk kink. If I tell my husband something has breast milk in it, he steers clear of it. Yes, it's made for babies to drink, but it's still someone else's bodily fluids. I would be super annoyed too. My daughter has food allergies, so I have to limit my diet to make sure none of those gets into my milk. If I specifically made food for her using my milk or even just normal ingredients that are safe for her to eat, I would be super mad someone else ate them when they could have literally anything else I made in the house, as the rest of my family isn't limited to what they can eat. Thank goodness my older two outgrew their food allergies. It would be insanely hard to find some meals that fit into their allergy needs without lots of research. Now for the update. I asked my husband what he thought I was mad about. He was in the room but on the other side and occupied with the baby. And he said he didn't realize that his dad actually ate the muffin. He thought I was pissed because he was messing with them. He also didn't remember the group chat incident but agreed that both incidents together is creepy. I called mother-in-law to clear the air and she revealed that father-in-law has always been very interested in lactation, and she actually only fed husband for 4 months, and always behind a locked door. Apparently he moved jobs after a woman complained that he kept intruding on her pumping in a designated space in the office. I told them father-in-law is not welcome around me and have asked for the key to her house back. I shared the concerns about him tampering with my milk and contaminating it, and also that his own wife wanted him locked out. Then I'm entitled to that too. The comment that hit my husband was the one about father-in-law getting off for years on the memory of eating the gross baby muffin. Husband said that he won't be able to look father-in-law in the eye again. I wouldn't say mother-in-law is on my side. She told me this information in a way that sounded like it was totally normal for a man to need to be locked away from women when they're feeding babies. And I kind of brought this on myself for not locking him out. I'm actually really creeped out that he's possibly been able to perv on me feeding at their house. I go to another room, but I've never felt comfortable. Guess they'll need to wait until the baby is fully weaned until we visit there again, if we ever do. To clarify, did mother-in-law feed father-in-law for months behind a locked door? No, she fed my infant husband. My father-in-law creeped her out so much, she got a lock on the door. He'll make a copy of the key. Oh, the new locks are a given. Asking for the keys is a symbolic thing and also gives me all the justification for completely losing my shit when I inevitably get a notification saying he's trying to open my door. Edit. I wanted to add a few comments from OOP that address some of the questions here. I'm really not a crunchy mom. I breastfeed because of the immune benefits and then go down the rabbit hole of making my own baby food because baby has allergies, and so do I. It's just easier to manage this way. I'm in the UK, so I could get cow milk protein-free formula for free, but it smells gross and you need to sterilize the bottles and make them up one at a time, and it's just too much hassle. Why the photo originally? Oh, I took a photo of the baby in his chair eating the popsicle, and then I thought I'd better caption it to explain that it's breast milk, so that no one thought it was okay to give the baby anything when they have him, since my mother-in-law was obsessed with the idea of giving him baby rice. So it was photo, here's baby with his first popsicle. The doctor said we should give him frozen breast milk for his teeth. Story 2. My 24 female boyfriend 27 male has disappeared every weekend for the past 3 years, and I just found out that he's been lying to me about where he goes, plus update. Original post. My boyfriend 27 male and I 24 female have been together for 3 years. We don't live together but are close enough to spend a lot of time together. However, it is very rare for us to spend a whole day together. When we have, it's been a weekday where our schedules have just happened to line up, i.e. no work and no class. We have never spent a day on the weekend together. He works as a research assistant while getting his PhD. Every single weekend for the 3 years that we've been together, he insists he has work. I realize how stupid I've been, but foolishly, I trusted him. I trusted that he had work every single weekend for 3 years. That was until today. I've been studying for finals and it's the toughest it's ever been, so I was craving some time with him, just a day where we could kick back and relax with each other. Of course, he says he can't because he's working, and I shut up about it. So today, I'm getting antsy anyway and hoping we could at least spend the evening together. I end up texting him, asking when he thinks he'll be back and we can spend the night. I've done this plenty of times before and he always responds fairly quickly. This time, I'm waiting for a while. After 2 hours, I decide to text a work friend of his, who's also a research assistant with him. Wouldn't you know it? It turns out they don't have work today. In fact, he informs me that in the same text that they rarely ever have work on the weekends. Rarely ever. So now I'm sitting here wondering what the F is going on. I have no idea how to confront him about this. I mean, this has been going on for 3 years. If he's cheating on me, he basically has a second family at this point. But obviously, that's where my mind goes, and I have no clue what else it could possibly be. Like, is there any possible explanation for this besides cheating? How in the world do I confront him about something he's been doing for 3 years? Since he's doing whatever it is tomorrow, do I just drive over to his place in the morning and wait, and then follow him? Has anyone had anything like this happen to them before? Now for the updates. Update 1. So I logged on to this account for the first time since making my original post and find out there are a lot of messages. I haven't read them all, but I will. The recent ones all ask for an update, so here it is. When I logged off, things seem to be pretty split on what I should do. Most people have decided just to call him a cheater and say that I'm his side chick. Frankly, I wasn't sure I could wait another day to confront him, so I confronted him the night of that post. No games or stalking or anything. Anyway, I had texted him telling him to come over when his work was done, and he did. I waited about 5 minutes, if that, for him to settle in before telling him that we needed to talk about something important. He immediately responded with, "Uh-oh," which was a bit demeaning, but that sarcastic response honestly matches his personality. I tell him everything that happened, how hurt I was, how I didn't feel like I could trust him about anything considering he's been doing this for 3 years, and then asked if he had anything to say. He told me he wasn't cheating on me or anything like that. He was just embarrassed about what he has been doing. I asked him what he could possibly be so embarrassed about as to hide it and then lie to me about it for 3 years. He takes him like a minute to compose himself and then mutters something he clearly feels guilty about, but I obviously don't hear it, so I ask him what he said because I didn't hear. He tells me that he volunteers at a homeless shelter every weekend since coming here for his PhD. Volunteering at a homeless shelter? I swear to you, whatever emotions are coming across here were multiplied 10 times in the moment. I could not comprehend what he was saying, like he was embarrassed for volunteering at a homeless shelter. It still doesn't make any sense. So I asked him what he meant, and he repeated that he volunteers at a homeless shelter for 6 hours on Saturday and 6 hours on Sunday every weekend. Of course, I asked him why he would be embarrassed about that, and he asked if we can talk about this more tomorrow, which was Sunday. And he can instead show me that he isn't lying by taking me to volunteer. I don't know what I was really thinking. I think my mind was just blank, so I agreed with a sure and asked him to leave. He apologized for the whole thing and left, and then sent a text that he'd pick me up in the morning so he can prove to me that he's not lying. Of course, my mind races all night and I tossed and turned all night, but Sunday came anyway. He wasn't lying. He takes me to a homeless shelter soup kitchen place. I don't really know the difference. And we make food, clean, and pack daily necessities for 6 hours. It clearly isn't the place to have the conversation, so I spend most of my time doing the work and chatting with other people. And they are really nice, but of course the whole thing was still weighing on my mind the entire time, so I started asking them about my boyfriend, and they confirm that he's been working there as long as they can remember, and is there every weekend. He's been there longer than most of them, it seems. Finally, our volunteering ends, and we head back to his car, and I try to start the conversation, but he shuts me down and asks me to wait until we get back to his place. I say, fine. Maybe I'm being a doormat here, but I was just so confused and lost. And we head to his apartment. Once there, the talking begins. He asks if I believe that he's telling the truth about working at the homeless shelter every weekend, and I say that I do since I confirmed it with a lot of people while there. But I also said that I don't understand the lying, especially for as long as he did. He apologizes again and asks if I really want to know why he kept it a secret. I say, of course. Duh. He sighs and then tells me that he doesn't like people knowing that he likes helping people. Obviously, I'm going, what the F, because this is so weird, and I ask him to explain. He tells me that when he was an undergrad student, he would always try to help his class behind the scenes by discussing problems they had or negotiating for curves or extensions on their assignments, even when he didn't personally need it. He said he enjoyed doing it and kept doing it as a master's student, but then started to do so before and after classes publicly. Apparently most of his classmates were still happy with him, but a few basically hated him for it because he was babysitting them or something. So he went back to doing things behind the scenes and no longer tries to associate himself with any of the things he does to help others. Hopefully I'm not the only one who finds this so dang weird. Like the homeless shelter stuff and assisting your classmates aren't remotely the same. I say as such, and he tells me it does the same thing. It helps people, so he doesn't like people to know about it because then they might misinterpret his intent and think he's masquerading as a good person. Then he assures me that he's not a good person at all, but he still wants to do what he can for people, so that this is what he does. What the F? So I ask if he really thinks I would get mad that he's helping homeless people in his free time. He tells me he wasn't sure at first, especially since I wanted to spend weekends together when we were first going out. Duh, every couple does. So he just lied to hide it at first, but he knows that I wouldn't do that now, but kept the lie going because he thought it would be too weird to suddenly say that He's volunteering at a homeless shelter. I feel like I've come to the conclusion that he's just really, really weird. His way of thinking has always been odd, but this in particular is just so weird. Like he seems to understand the situation and where I'm coming from, but didn't think to tell me the truth on his own. We started to go in circles, so I ended the conversation and had him drive me home in silence. Since then, he's sent a number of texts and tried to call me a few times. I didn't pick up on Monday or Tuesday because I felt like I needed time to think. But I finally picked up today, and we had a talk in which we both reiterated what we had said. I know a lot of people, literally all of them at this time, were telling me to break up with him, but I'm still thinking things through. I'm going to try and get him to hang out this weekend and make my decision after that, I think, some more. This whole thing has been so weird. I'm sorry that I repeated that so much, but my brain is still rather scrambled. I don't think there will be any more updates to this because we either stay together or break up. But if there are, they won't be posted here. Edit. Reading through a lot of the comments on the previous post now. To answer the most common questions, I haven't met his parents, but I have met a few of his friends. He doesn't have social media. He's met my family since I'm local, and we do spend holidays together if they're not on the weekends. Update 2. So I asked him to come over so we could talk, and he did. I then asked him some of the questions people had on here that I had written down. Volunteering for 6 hours but still not having time for me. He said he would get there a little early and leave late, but would then spend the remaining hours running errands and actually working on PhD assistant stuff. I asked if he could give me details. He gave me some details about academic articles that I don't remember. I asked why he couldn't spend more weekend evenings with me if this was the case. He said that he was really busy with work and that I would distract him. Ouch. Out of all the things said, I think this is the one that bothers me the most. I asked if the volunteering was court-ordered. He laughed at that and was clearly confused by the question, but answered that given the special population he works with doing his PhD, he doubts he'd be able to work with them if he had a record that required so many hours. I asked if he was going to tell me about the volunteering. He initially says he doesn't know, then replies that he probably wouldn't have. He apologized for lying, but then said that whether he was working or volunteering doesn't make a difference to how much time he spent with me. Obviously, I pushed back on this, and he got defensive, and we had an argument that basically reiterated how I felt like I couldn't trust him because he was lying about this while he kept apologizing for the lying, making me feel that way, but that it wouldn't have changed how we spend time together. Ultimately, I asked him to explain to me again why he hid it in the first place. Like he said previously, he used to talk to the professors during undergrad about extensions and questions others had behind closed doors, and then make sure those things were stated to the rest of the class. He did the same thing in his master's program. This is where I got lost before. One of his professors was a hard ass, and some of his classmates were scared to talk to him about their grades, so he thought he could show them that he was willing to discuss grades, and he made a joke about his own grade in class. The professor didn't find it funny and went on a tirade about respect and showing him up, and apparently the class ended shortly thereafter because it was so tense. He said that some of the other students felt like they needed to cut ties with him to show that the professor they weren't in on the joke, and that a few of them made a show of hating him from that point forward. Hearing it in more depth at least makes this a little more sense to me. I stated again that helping homeless and helping classmates seemed like entirely different things altogether. He said that they felt like the same to him, but that I was probably right and he was wrong. I asked him why he said he's a bad person. He replied asking if he said that, and I said yes. He said that he didn't want the volunteering to make him seem like a good person because he's not. I asked what he meant, and he replied that I know him. I said I'm not sure that I do. He said that I know what he means. I don't, do, etc. in circles. Personally, I think he has low self-esteem, but this is a weird way to express it, and I'm not sure what else it could be. I told him I wasn't sure I wanted to continue the relationship because of the lying. He seemed hurt, but then just said okay, and that it's my decision. I told him that he should at least get therapy for the classmate thing because it's clearly affected him negatively. He replied that he probably should, but he won't. After that, I gave him an ultimatum. Either spend more time with me on weekends and go to therapy, or we break up. I told him to think about it and that he has until Saturday. He said he would, and he went on his way. Final update. This will probably be my last post here. Saturday came and he asked me to compromise. He would take a day off from volunteering if I volunteered with him the other day, and he wouldn't have to go to therapy. I said I needed to think about it. I told him later that night that I'd accept the compromise if he was willing to go to one therapy session. On Sunday morning, he told me he wouldn't be willing to go to therapy and asked that we go out to dinner. We went to a local diner and basically talked about ending things. He apologized for ending things this way and said that he knew he wasn't exactly being reasonable, but he's doing what he feels like he needs to do. I basically said that's up to him. We wished each other the best. He gave me a parting hug and I went on my way. So yeah, 3 years of commitment for this. Kinda sucks. Have a good day. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.